A fatal crash in Hyannis and a very preliminary plan to upgrade a dangerous roadway. On this episode of Barnstable Today, it's Thursday, June 14th, 2012. I'm Sarah Kovin. Barnstable police are investigating a crash that killed a bicyclist early this morning. Just after 2 a.m., police arrived at the intersection of Route 28 and Pitcher's Way to find a female bicyclist seriously injured after being struck by a driver who sped off. The woman was taken to Cape Cod Hospital, where she later died. Falmouth police found the suspect vehicle on Main Street in Falmouth at about 3:30 this morning. 23-year-old Angelica Barroso of West Yarmouth was arrested. She's facing a charge of leaving the scene of a fatal accident. She was arraigned in Barnstable Court this morning. Meanwhile, the Massachusetts Department of Transportation is studying a portion of Route 28 less than a mile east of the scene of that accident. Studies show it is the number 10 location on Cape Cod for accidents. MassDOT, the Cape Cod Commission, and the town of Barnstable are working together to make safety improvements to the stretch of Route 28 from the Cape Cod Mall lights west to Birch's Way. Cape Cod Commission Transportation Engineer Glenn Cannon opened the meeting with a reminder.
It is a concept plan tonight. We have an idea that we've put out there tonight. We want to hear we definitely want to hear your concerns. Transportation
Engineer Joe San Clemente explains the preliminary plans.
Just concept at this point. We're drawing it on aerial. We haven't done any land survey at this point. There's still more data to be collected. We actually have traffic counts ongoing, counting cars and pedestrian and bicycle activity out there to get a better understanding. And we want to hear folks' comments about what they're observing out there and really make sure that we're addressing the issues out there. And you can see one of the major changes that we are proposing is to do some widening along 28. Currently, you have mostly one lane in each direction, but it widens out at the intersection. So we're seeing there's some merging that happens when you get out of the intersection and merging as you approach the intersection. And the hope is to carry 2 lanes in each direction to try to eliminate the racing that we see going on or the merging between those locations. So it's a little bit smoother flow between the locations. And we would also propose a median along the roadway and sidewalks on both sides, providing a good pedestrian connection between Bierce's and the Cape Cod Mall. One of the goals is to try to minimize the number of left turns on the roadway, to try to make it safer and really try to make most driveway locations right in, right out, because this is really a safety project and we're trying to do what would be the most safe solution along this location. I know that there's one property owner tonight that expressed interest about charting movements in and out of Warehouse Road, and that's something that we'll continue to take a closer look at. Right now we were envisioning it would be a left in, but it would be restricted to a right out only. But as I said, we'd take a closer look there. And then Corporation Street, which we've had quite a few discussions with the police department, public safety staff, that today it is signed as a no left in and a no left out, but really no one really pays attention to that sign. It's been an ongoing enforcement problem, and there have been a number of crashes at that location over the years. So we feel that we need to physically restrict left turns in and out of that location to really make it safer. We'll be carrying those 2 lanes through all the way through, and like I said, that's really to try to eliminate that strange merging that we have that's going on along the roadway. We even find that the extra lanes that you have aren't even really being well used because people know that the lane's just going to stop. They treat them like right turn lanes. So we think we can actually get a little more capacity through the intersection, which will give us more time to allocate to the pedestrians so they can get across the street at the intersections. So once again, the median will be continued down, and we most importantly will be looking at adding a crosswalk on the west side of the Cape Cod Mall so that hopefully we can encourage folks from, instead of crossing the street, we'll provide a nice sidewalk all the way down, and then they can cross at the signal where they can push a button and cross safely at that location.
Many concerned residents attended last night's meeting, including the mother of a young woman who was struck by a car along that stretch of road.
We're talking about safety for pedestrians. How is giving them more, more lanes, more speeding? The speed's going to pick up there. Yeah, it might help the flow of the traffic, but how is that helping the people crossing? We need more lights, and I think we need to lessen the speed limit and not give them the opportunity to pick up speed. I am the mother of Crystal, who was hit there, and it was an issue back on the accident report of lighting. So we know the lighting. And then there was a question on the speed, and the woman, how fast? Where is, the signage of what the speed limit is? So I think we need to work more on, we talk about the protection and the safety of bicyclists and pedestrians. We need to work on the lighting, the speed limit.
Town Councilor Deb Dagwan spoke about the preliminary plan as well.
Not supportive in either way. That was an issue that came up from constituents in my precinct. I am pleased with the fact that you are putting a continuing the sidewalks along the plaza and up 28, where there was 12 sort of accidents that have occurred. I was also on the school committee a few years ago, and the schools were reduced, and they took the middle school and made it an intermediate school. So now you had younger children walking a long distance to school, and there was no sidewalk for them to follow along 28. So that's a very important move and a good one, and a safety issue for the young people.
Tom Bernardo of Representative Demetrius Atzelis's office was also in attendance.
In general, I think an awful lot of people agree on the sidewalks, the better signage, the clearer signage, and I think one of the concerns that is immediate is the timing. I think you said, and I was taking some notes, so I apologize, that it's slated for the tip for 2014?
It'll be, so far it's scheduled for the tip in the winter of 2014, 2015. So there's still a couple years left and we haven't even begun the design yet. So
I guess I certainly know how the process works.
Yeah.
It's very methodical. There's budgeting, there's pre-planning, there's planning, there's engineering, final reports. But I know that a lot of the constituents would logically ask, you could be talking 2, 3, 4 more summers. Is there anything that could be done to uncouple, particularly for the cross-section down near the mall, even though it may not be typical or typically boilerplated the way the state does their processes? Is there anything that could help expedite particularly that crosswalk section? So,
well, which crosswalk section?
the one down in the mall, the one
down near the mall.
Yeah.
Right. I think the most important thing to improve safety is to get the sidewalks in. So I don't know if there is a quick fix for that, because there would be some wiring that would need to be done, and that does require design. But I think that's really the best solution that we've come up with. We don't want to simply stripe a crosswalk across there, because we think we'd be putting people at risk or suggesting a bad location to cross. So I think, unfortunately, the best solution is to get the crosswalks in at the intersection and install the sidewalks along the roadway. But I think the good news is that we are moving towards design, and there is funding lined up to actually make this happen.
San Clemente responds to concerns about continued dangerous crossings of Route 28.
Yeah, I think, like I said, we don't want to try to encourage the mid-block crossing. To do it safely, it would require another signal along Route 28, and we often try to avoid adding as many signals as we can. It causes congestion. It could introduce new types of accidents at that location. So I think the first goal that we'd like to do is try to provide safe crossings, safe sidewalks, to try to encourage people to use the 2 signals that we have to cross the road. In the long term, if there ends up being more demand and that is unsuccessful, then possibly a mid-block signal could be installed in the future. But I think as part of this one, we're not considering that at the time.
Plans for improvements to this stretch of road are still very preliminary. Studies are being done, and any construction or work would not begin for at least 2 years. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Kovin.